I'm speaking today in defense of the moon. How did we get here? Not very long ago, the moon was the subject of poetry, romantic poetry. The moon, like a flower in heaven's high bower, in silent delight sits and smiles on the night. Goethe's wonderful poem on the moon speaks of this flooding with luminous fog in the valleys and the bushes of this beautiful moon radiance, and how it opened his heart fully, and just the most beautiful poetry. Voll ist wieder Busch und Tal, still mit Nebelglanz, löse es endlich auch einmal meine Seele ganz. And now the moon is a mechanical object that was placed in where it is now by who knows what alien race. And it's inhabited by space stations. And that part, I think, is true. But this attack on the moon is so important. It happened once before. This is a repeat of a historical event in 1889 when A.P. Sinnett, a theosophist, published a book called Esoteric Buddhism. And in it, he stated, the moon is the eighth sphere. And that's exactly what's happening again, but in different language. Steiner spoke out at that point and said the moon is not the eighth sphere. The eighth sphere is a false, illusionary world created by the Ahrimanic forces, the forces of hyper-intelligence and AI. Ahriman has his rightful incarnation right now and is making every effort to remove the soul from human beings and replace it with his own creations. Steiner speaks the very strange language that Ahriman steals soul substance and creates beings of his own for his own realm. And what is his own realm? It's the eighth sphere. It's a realm that encompasses the earth as a false, it's permeating through and through as an illusionary, false, mechanical representation of life. It is with us now. I don't know how people in 1920 understood what Steiner was saying then, but we can certainly understand it now. So this attack on the moon, it is coming from so many directions. First of all, there's a new awakening of spirituality in what is known as the disclosure movement. That is a group of young people remembering being abducted and used in military programs off Earth. Yes, the moon does have space stations from the Earth. Even Trump said he was creating a second space force. So we have Solar Warden, the American Space Force, there's Kruger, the German Space Force, etc. The Japanese have their own. All of this is going to build the eighth sphere, this mechanized world where humans have no soul. There is a spiritual battle. The battle is being waged in the mind, and the prize is the soul. I'm here quoting Prince. Remember the musician, formerly known as Prince, who was removed because he was speaking such truths. Also, the eighth sphere, the moon, the fake moon, information about the fake moon is being spread in places like the Solari Report. Catherine Austin Fitz and Dr. Joseph Farrell of the Giza Death Star, two great minds of our era who I deeply respect, had a 2.5-hour program on the moon in which they established it can't have been removed from the Earth through the Pacific. How could that have happened? And it can't be an asteroid that got captured in the Earth's gravity, or it would have a different shaped orbit. And they were marveling that it has so much lawfulness within it. Also, this false moon, before I go into the correcting part, this false moon has been propagated by someone called Peter the Insider, who's reporting through people like Drago Reed, who's being interviewed on places like Journey to Truth. A very large voice in the disclosure movement with their own annual conference. And even in their introduction, a voice that they've captured from somewhere is speaking, that's not a moon, that's a space station. What is the eighth sphere, and why is it important to know about it? Why is it important that we know any cosmic history, like the origins of the moon? Steiner, Rudolf Steiner, who brought us anthroposophy in the early years of the 1900s, made a mystery school public. And he stated that in every mystery training, you learn cosmic history. You learn the history of our solar system that began with one large planet in a state of warmth and slowly condensed, slowly split off, so that different entities at different stages of development could have a platform to evolve themselves. It was neither too fast nor too slow in its spiritual growth to permit them to unfold their beings properly. The moon was removed from the Earth as the last planet to be removed from that great mass that slowly was divided out into these different regions for evolving beings. And it was removed as a region for angels who needed to separate themselves off from human beings. Also to permit the substance of the earth at that time, which was very malleable. How can the substance of the earth and the substance of the moon divide from each other? Well, the earth was in a very different state at that time, much more malleable. It was all volcanic except for a few quieter spots that were settling down. But when the moon was removed, it was really this mass that was not at all hardened. Humans did not have solid bodies. It was in a very plastic state. And the development happened as all development happens, spiritually first. So spiritually first, a platform was removed for the angelic hierarchies to evolve themselves separately from the humans on the earth and the animals and the elementals that were here. There's a lot more to that I go into with Grant Davis in our programs on Atlantis and Lemuria. Lemuria coming in March, Atlantis we did last year. So the substance was removed, yes, through the Pacific Ocean, through Maui, through Haleakala Crater. That removed the moon substance, which was as the body of the angelic hierarchies, spiritually formed in perfect harmony with the solar system and with the entities relating to one another within it. That's why It's in a perfect orbit. That's why only one face faces the earth, even though it rotates on its axis, as do we. It's all in divine mathematics and divine beingness and relativity, being to being, really. So the moon was extracted from the earth, and it was made a residence for the 7 holy rishis. I invite you to look into that. And the angelic sphere is the outer orbit of the moon, all the way in through the earth. We each do have an angel being. And in Catherine Austin Fitts and Joseph Farrell's 2.5-hour report on the moon, they are not including that, even though there is an anthroposophical section called Spiritual Science on the Solari website. Somehow that didn't incorporate. So I'll be sending this video to them as well. Now, the 8th sphere encompasses this area around the earth that is under the rulership of 2 dark forces, Ahriman and Lucifer, who are trying to steal the human soul's ability to develop further and trap us into their sphere. I believe there will be a separating out at some time in the future where Earth and the 8th sphere will separate out from one another if there's enough left of the Earth at that point in time, which is what we're fighting for. Why is the moon, this little orbiting moon of our Earth, as important to us as the sun? Why in mystery training do we have the moon, the sun, and the earth as 3 balanced forces, body, soul, spirit? If you make the earth, the moon, a mechanical thing, what do? You remove the human soul. What does Ahriman want to do? He wants to remove the human soul. Why is there an attack on the moon? To remove the human soul. That's why we're fighting back. Why is the moon as important as the sun? Again, going back to Rudolf Steiner, he speaks of the moon as a body that in its transit around the earth is receiving the forces from all the other planets in our system and beyond. And in the light and the forces that the moon sends to the earth, it is transferring all of that cosmic force, all of those various influences to human beings, to plants, to animals, to our whole earth environment. So the moon is our translator between the rest of the cosmos and the earth body. So the moon is every bit as important as the sun. The sun sends to us its own forces, its forces of growth, its forces of wisdom, its forces of awakening. The moon sends to us the soul influences of all the planets, which is that harp of Apollo. Our nervous system, our soul, our emotional system is like the chords of a lyre, like the strings of a harp, and the soul, the planetary forces play on that soul instrument and create the music that we project, that we feel. That is our soul. The moon is strengthening our soul. And what did Steiner say about the moon and the 8th sphere? He said the moon is not the 8th sphere. The moon is our protection against the 8th sphere. The moon was strengthened by the being Yahweh, who came down from an Elohim position, which is much higher in the angelic hierarchies, to be working with us from the moon. And he strengthened the moon forces. It's always beings. These aren't mechanical things. There's no energy without a being emitting the energy. Please remember that when people say it's only energy, what they're saying is it's only beings who are emitting energy, not what energy are you dealing with. What being are you entertaining through your behavior? Improve your behavior, improve the beings who will inhabit yourself and your space and create your life. That's the purification of the astral body, which is the work of the angels, which is the work of the moon sphere, which is what they want to take away from us. This is a living, beautiful, romantic, gorgeous process that one can write poetry and sing music about. And what is it now? It's a space station. And I want to say, yes, there are space stations on the physical moon. Everything physical in our solar system is Earth. Everything of a material level is Earth plane. The moon is on a higher plane than Earth plane. It's on the moon plane of experience. It's on the angelic plane of experience. It's on the astral plane of experience. So do not remove our ability to function as empathetic, sympathetic, astral beings who love one another with this amazing force that we have of the human soul. Again, I'm sorry for everyone who is broadcasting these falsities. The moon is not a space station. It is an intrinsic part of the human life, as important to us as Earth and Sun. Earth plus Sun plus Moon plus the starry heavens make up the human being. Remove our soul, you put us in the eighth sphere. Put us in the eighth sphere. We are chipped automatons who do not have souls and will not continue our evolutionary path into the next angelic hierarchy. And we are at that tipping point now. We are awakening now. So wake up. The moon is a beautiful, majestic, angelic, poetic, musical realm. It is not a mechanical space station with thereby some unknown alien force. And yes, aliens are here with us. Call them angels, archangels, and archai. Call them inhabitants of Mars, Venus, Jupiter, whatever you want, Aldebaran. Yes, they're here. Steiner spoke of them so much that, oh, could I remember his name at the moment, but I will if I ever get to lecture on this. The man in charge of the X file, the UFO file information within the American government, who was asked, how can I learn about aliens and alien life? He said, read Rudolf Steiner's Occult Science. And I will add to that, read Rudolf Steiner's Cosmic Memory. And if you don't want to read them, go to Rudolf Steiner Audio and listen to the podcasts, or go to YouTube and type in occult science, and you can watch someone who's created beautiful little images while you listen to the information. I too love videos and things online. There is a battle. It's spiritual. It is waged in the human mind, and the prize is the human soul. Know what being is speaking in your mind, and hold on to that soul and develop it with all your might and main, all your romanticism, all your love, all your poetry, and all your music. Thank you for watching.